And we're good to go. Mayor
Okay,
Bennett.
thank you. It's 4 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We need to take roll call. So I'll call out Councillor Humphreys. Try it again, Doug. Okay.
Present.
She had you muted.
Yeah.
Councillor Webster,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Campbell,
Present.
Councillor Carew.
Present.
Thank you. And with us tonight, we have, I got to do that. Sorry. Declaration of pecuniary interest. None being heard or indicated. Confirmation of council agenda, and I'll have to ask each individual member to, I need a mover and a seconder, and then a show of hands should, I got to call names out again. Okay, so I got a mover. Councillor Webster. Deputy Mayor Campbell. All in favor? Councillor
Yeah.
Humphreys.
Yes.
Councillor Webster.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Campbell.
In favor.
Councillor Carew.
In favor.
And I'm in favor. So I'd like to take the time to welcome the Renfrew OPP new demand detachment commander, Inspector Dawn Ferguson. Hope and I had the pleasure meeting her prior to taking her new position. I am pleased she is here today to meet with you and all of us. It's been a long road because she actually took over as the pandemic started, so we haven't had the face-to-face meetings that we're hoping to have when we first started to leave her understand where we were as a municipality, and I'm sure at some point council's waiting to do that. But she was kind enough to come today and speak to us to try and get something started so we know where we're headed as a municipality with the issues that are in front of us. So welcome, Dawn. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm going to I'll just leave you do a little bit of talking for a minute just to introduce yourself because you're relatively new to all of us, and we just we would like to hear from you first, and then we'll open the floor up.
All right, just to give you guys a little bit of background about myself. I'm in my 19th year of policing. I've been with the OPP since 2002. This is the second detachment that I've been in charge of as a detachment commander. Previous to Heroes in Central Hastings, the Madoc area, as the Staff Sergeant Detachment Commander there. Renfrew and the greater Renfrew County area has been a career goal for mine since the onset of my career. My husband and I, both OPP officers, we're looking to come here to retire, so I'll stay here for the extent of my tenure. I have 2 university daughters, so between building a house and paying for university, I'm broke, so I will be here for the full 12 years, I guarantee you that. Pandemic has definitely made things difficult for me, mostly with these type of relationships and building the rapport with each of you that I should have by now, but I apologize for that. But it's also given me time to get my feet wet slowly, so it's also been a blessing in disguise, I think, a little bit. I'm here to answer any questions that you guys have of me directly or about with regards to the policing service.
Thank you, Dawn. You don't mind me calling you Dawn?
Not at all.
Thank you. I'm going to open the floor up and I'll just call each councillor out and you can ask questions. Councillor Humphreys.
Yes. Welcome, Dawn Ferguson, to Renfrew Detachment. I just want to know how the stress of the COVID and how your officers are handling the stress on top of everything else that's going on, as OPP usually has, car accidents, speedings, domestic disputes? Like, what is it added to the workload?
Mostly precautionary measures that we're having to take, whether it be wearing the different PPE protocol for calls for service and the extra cleaning that we have to go about to ensure that we're safe all the time. Outside of that, we tend to be business as usual. Calls still come in, we still have to respond. You see the influx of stressors as different, like when we were first entering the first wave of COVID and the closures, just the impact because we've never dealt with the type of pandemic before. And then again, as if the kids went back to school and you started seeing higher test rates and more stress around the kids in the homestead, you see their stress levels going up. But for the most part, the members here are professional and they keep showing up and they keep doing what we ask them to do, and they adjust, right? And I think that's one of the key core components of being a police officer, the ability to adapt and adjust to the new environments.
Thank you.
Sorry, Mayor Bennett, you just have to unmute yourself if you're calling on somebody else.
Sorry. First one. Might as well do it at the first and then Councillor Webster.
Welcome, Don. Welcome to our community, or back to our community. Thanks for your update, and hopefully we can assist you in any way. Any challenges you see within Horton Township? And the other thing I was wondering, as a council, how can we help assist you in anything, getting stuff out to the public or anything like that? Like, because it's all about cost savings for us as councillors and to maintain the budget. So anything we can do.
Thanks for having me. I think starting these type of meetings and having me regularly attend, whether it be quarterly, just to discuss your calls for service report and look to identify if there's any anomalies in the report and if there's issues that we need to address, that we can get ahead of it early on before it becomes a problem for yourselves or the OPP. And just the open communications, and Hope has been great since I've started here and sharing information back and forth with me. So just, I think us having a solid communication plan and having that open dialogue is the best thing that we can do for both of our point of view.
Great, thank you.
Deputy Mayor Campbell.
Again, I'd just like to welcome you to the little rural town of Renfrew, and Horton certainly, you know, we surround Renfrew and give it a big hug there, and of course we're you know, we're sitting here looking for guidance from you as much as supporting you as well. I know we've tried to do our part by posting on the website numbers that, one is for 911 emergency concerns, and two, that's more of a concern or like a one-off from the residents that you would deal with on a one-by-one case. So I guess just with the stress of your job, your move, you know, your university daughters, building of your house, you can understand on your end the stress you're under. And just to reiterate, to say that we know we're in good hands with you, and that, you know, if there's anything we can do to help the stress of the community, and again, keep that information coming, that 911 number is for immediate emergency service, and that the other numbers through the detachment will be recognized, you know, in a very timely manner. But it's the next low key, and I just want to ensure the residents of Horton and surrounding area know that.
If I could just add on to that, sir. In addition to reporting the 911, the emergencies, and contacting us outside of emergency operations, if you're able to just express to your community members the importance of reporting stuff to us, to use our call centers, our 1-800 numbers, or 911 if it is an emergency situation. But without the police knowing that something exists, it's really hard for us to get behind it and develop a plan to address it. So often we'll hear of complaints that this has been ongoing for months or years, but then when we look at our database, we have no record of it. So if you can, like, if citizens are encouraged to report it to us and report it to us early, we can get ahead of it and address any concerns before it becomes a real problem for the municipality or myself.
Sorry, Mayor Bennett, you're just gonna have to unmute yourself.
That I did. Councillor Carew.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome, Don, to our community. One question that just follows on Deputy Campbell. For speeding issues that we get in the township, is the best way for our resident is to use the 1-800 number, or the best thing is them to go into the detachment. I guess they're not right now with the pandemic, but is the best thing is them to call us, like a counselor or staff member, and then we can call you, or the best thing for them to call you directly?
I would say come to us directly. They're gonna be looking to us to do some kind of action in response to it. Wherever they can do it in real time, as is occurring or shortly thereafter, we have a better opportunity to have a positive response to it, as opposed to it filtering through the different levels before it comes to me and then me assigning it to somebody. If they were to go straight through our call center, it gets catted in real life time and somebody's assigned to that call right away, as opposed to, again, that lag time behind it. It's really hard to catch a speeder that's a transient customer that's traveling through Horton 2 days later.
That's perfect, thank you. And do you provide staff, if you do get in calls for speeding areas, do you let the township know? That way we could assist either with some traffic counts or speed counts.
I think if we're able to identify it as being a problem, not just the one-off calls for service, there'd be a need to interact with you guys. But for just your typical reporting bad driving or unsafe load or the various traffic complaints that we get, that's our bread and butter of policing, right? So I think that unless I can identify a problem that needs to be addressed collectively, I don't see a reason, unless you want to be brought into the mix.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Council. Mr. Hopkins, would you happen to have a question? On mute, please, Spence.
There we go. All I can say is welcome to Renfrew. I am not a native to Renfrew, but I can tell you this is probably the best place on the planet to live.
Thank you very much. And it's becoming evident very quickly to me that we're enjoying and we're settling quite nice. And even with our daughters, I thought leaving the bigger city hubs and coming to a small town that we'd lose touch and they wouldn't want to come visit us. I can't keep them out of our house right now. So it's been good for the whole family.
Good. Well, continued good luck for the duration of your career.
Thank you.
Staff, Hope, any questions of the Don?
I don't have any questions. I'm pretty good at communicating any questions that I generally do have with Don. I just want to say welcome again. It's been a pleasure having you be part of the OPP and be a part of our municipality. And it's very easy to communicate with you. I feel very comfortable. I just want to say welcome and introduce my other staff members. You see Natalie, she's my treasurer, and as well as Nikki DeBoche, she's the admin planning assistant. So they're a great part of my team. And if you have any questions that I'm not available, you can certainly reach out to them as well.
Thank you. And hello, ladies.
Okay, Don, I've got a few questions that I'd like to start thinking about, and we did discuss this once before. First one is the CPAC committee. But I know it's very difficult to put anything together right now, but I'm hoping that front and center as things start opening up in the future, so that we as a council see a great value in the CPAC committee, and miss the input coming from the other municipalities when we could sit around the table and actually put our thoughts together and have answers coming from the OPP on how we could address it. So I would just ask that that doesn't get lost somewhere, and that we can hopefully form that committee as we get closer to being able to actually perform a duty as the CPAC committee.
And I'm in agreement with you. I think it's a better way of doing business, especially with the other various small communities that make up Renfrew County. The leadership has to come from somebody within the municipalities. I can't direct and I can't compile the committee itself, but I'm eager to participate in it. And I do agree it's a better forum for all of us to do business.
Okay, thank you. And I'll talk to my council here and see if we can start putting something together then and take the lead on it. Second thing is the radar enforcement sign. Several years ago, the municipalities that were in the CPAC purchased a radar sign that was taken into the OPP station in Renfrew. And we are wondering what the status of that is, and if it's something that the OPP would be willing to give back to the CPAC committee so we could look at repairing it and getting it back out in service.
So the speed sign is here parked in our back parking lot. From the reports I've got, that it's right now just a overpriced, oversized paperweight because of the repairs that are needed. Unfortunately, the technology it has is kind of archaic technology, and MTO on a lot of municipal roads have frowned upon us using it because of the sheer size and the impediment on traffic. But it's here. I can't tell you what's wrong with it. I wasn't able to get that answer for you. But I can make some contacts within the MTO to see if we were to get it operational again, if it can still be put into use.
Okay, we would thank you very much for looking into that for us, and if we had something to look at so we could go forward. And of course, we got to talk to the other municipalities to make sure they're in agreement with what we're thinking of maybe able to do with it. The third thing is the speeding. I did sit in with the county at the county level last week with the two detachment commanders, the one from Kittilou and the one from Renfrew up in Pembroke Way. I was a little bit disappointed when we got to the speeding section because they had talked about excessive noise coming from the motor vehicles and what they'd put together there. They seem to think that we're a long piece away from being able to control speeding. That's what I took away from it anyway. It's a big issue for municipality, and it's a big issue for council because it's one of the safety issues that we need to address. And it's on every road that we have. I know Hope disagrees with me, but because of the pandemic, it's escalated severely in the last 3 to 4 months. We have, and people are getting nervous about it. And when I say getting nervous, we've one business on Storyland Road that I've at least talked to 6 or 7 times now, trying to get the traffic slowing down coming around that 90-degree corner at the top of Storyland Hill. And that's not the only one. We have several roads that speeding is pretty excessive on. And like you said a short time ago, by the time you get the call, they're nowhere to be found. We're hoping to get some kind of enforcement out there with the speed signs and whatnot to let people know they're way over the limits. And when I say way over, I'm sure that it's 30 to 50 and in that range in most situations, especially on Storyland. When they coming up to that corner, heading back to towards Chenot Road, they really crank on it, and sometimes I think they use that corner to see if they're comfortable going around a little bit faster than you're supposed to be. So it's something that the municipality has to work on fairly quickly, and we'll be looking to talk to you to see what we can do in order to eliminate, probably not eliminate, but at least enforce what we can to slow the traffic down.
I was gonna say, if you have had a solution on how to eliminate speeders, you would be a very rich man, because wherever there's roads, wherever people travel, you're always gonna have speeders. The only time that you're gonna get them to slow down is when they have that physical threat of us being there doing enforcement. Unfortunately, we don't have enough officers to go around for all the roads to address all the issues. So when it comes to identifying like a true speeding problem where it becomes a public safety issue, there's a lot of measures that we take into consideration. You look at the infrastructure, you look at demographics, you look at any causation, right? Have we seen a whole bunch or increased accidents within a jurisdiction or within a segment of road that will speak to the core root of the problem? There's a couple of traffic calming solutions that we can employ. There's new speed signs that, like everything else, is a cost of municipality, but you're going to fix some of them. You're going to fix to poles, giving you those flashing alerts when you're coming in. You are going too fast, and some of them you can move around. There's also a tool that's called a Speed Spy that some of the municipalities here have purchased, and they're a box that go on a hydro pole that nobody would know what they look like, but they help us collect the data to show us, is there a problem? And B, what are the peak times that we need to be doing the proactive patrols to address the problem, right? Because there's no point in me sending an officer out at 10 o'clock in the morning on Storyline Road if the problem is between 5 and 6, if there is a true problem. So it's getting that core data that helps us target our patrols. But you'll never, I'm not gonna say you'll never, it's a uphill battle to combat speeding, right? It's that balance of between controlling it and just ensuring that we are continuing to have safety messaging and safety on the roads.
And I totally agree with you, Don. Unfortunately, I was one of the ones that was around when we originally got the trailer radar speed, and it worked very efficiently after about 6 months, and it was slowing the traffic down considerably. So I kind of leaned towards some kind of speed signs in the worst places, because it's obvious it does work. It showed a great improvement for about 36 months the last time while I was around it, and it the unfortunate part about it, it took an officer time, and he wasn't available for anything else once he got out there with the speed radar, especially when he was enforcing traffic a mile down the road from the sign.
And with now the smaller signs that can either be permanently affixed or the ones that can be moved around, I like the ones that are moved around a bit, because you do, I think drivers become acclimatized to seeing them there, and they're just part of the scenery after a while. So if you can use them effectively and target them in different time periods and move them around the problem zones within your municipality, I find them more effective that way. But back to my original point about encouraging the citizens to call in and report stuff, we talk about Storyline Road, and I knew this was possibly a topic that we were going to discuss today, and I ran our reported calls for service on Storyline Road, and out of 22 calls during the summer months in Horton Township for traffic complaints, only 5 were on Storyline Road, and the only one that was there was one with speeding, 2 vehicles racing, and the other one that was speed related was that a vehicle was doing 20 kilometers below the speed limit. Everything else was breaking rules of the road, that kind of stuff. So members of your community are still hesitant to come forward and report the problems to us. So therefore, it's hard for us to track.
Great. I will bring that up with them. I think maybe it might be easier if I just switch my phone to direct dial to you, and then I wouldn't have to be in between.
And you know what? And that's why I encourage the whole fact of get them to come to us, because we're the people that they're looking to respond. You're just the middleman having to do the heavy lifting for them, right? But no, the more that we are aware of, the more we can tailor a response to and come up with a traffic strategy. But we have officers out there doing radar. Probably a third of our fleet is equipped with moving radars within the cars, and then we have additional handheld radars and LiDARs, laser radar enforcement. So we have the tools out there. It's just right place, right time is a lot of it when it comes to traffic control and traffic enforcement.
Right on. Thank you. Any other questions of Don? None? Thank you, Don. Thank you for taking the time to discuss where we are and where we can go moving forward. And I'm sure that at some point we'll actually get to meet in person.
Well, thanks for having me. And again, any concerns, don't hesitate to direct them to myself or to the detachment. And I look forward to the next invite. No,
Thank
you guys are going to continue on a normal council meeting, correct?
Yeah.
Would it be all right if I excuse myself at this point?
Certainly. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you.
meeting everybody.
Thank you, Dawn.
Okay. We have the minutes from the previous meeting. But can I do them all at once or I have to do them individually?
No, they can be all done at once with the resolution, and then we can discuss any concerns afterwards.
Okay, so we have the regular council meeting on October 6th, the public meeting on October 6th, the committee adjustment on October 6th, and October 13th special council meeting. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Humphries? Councillor Carew? Any discussion? None? Councillor Humphries, in favor?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Campbell?
In favor?
Councillor Webster?
In favor?
Councillor Carew?
In favor.
And I'm in favor. It's carried. Any business arising from the minutes at all? Councillor Webster?
Just an update with I think it was number 7, the delegation for Bert May. I did stop by and I'm working we're working to resolve the problem that he's issued, but I have met with him and I discussed him with Adam, and the guys are going to go out and do some more grading issues over there.
Okay, thank you. I presume you'll be bringing that up with your report?
I can bring it up there again as well.
Okay. Thank you. Any other business arising? None? Committee reports. Deputy Mayor Campbell, General Government.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Bennett. So on 7.1 General Government, 7.1.1 Financial Departmental Report and Statement on page 12. I'm sure everybody's had a chance to read it and go through it. There are some highlighted areas here, and I will turn this over to Hope. Elias Tally, not available.
I'll interject there for a moment, just to note in the meeting that we do have our public advisory member, Spencer Hopping, present as well. So just wanted to interject, and I'll throw it over to Tally. She can unmute herself.
Hello, everybody. So on page 12 of the package, the first one was the interim billing. So that has been rectified with our software people. And it is showing the true numbers for 2020 taxation. So unfortunately, we don't have that 1.5 to spare now. The next one down for OMPA funding. So we should receive our fourth quarter payment for 2020 by the end of this month. And then we'll have our complete allotment for the year. Next one I highlighted was on page 18. Because of the what was it called? The COVID funding. So we created a revenue and an expense, so we can track all those costs that are incurred that we can compile for our report. But I'll elaborate a little bit more in my report after this. That's just where we put it in with the municipal disaster, because it is kind of a disaster. Page 19. Spencer, you had questioned about this at the last meeting, and after the meeting I did look into it and it was duplicated in the GL. So that has been fixed and it reflects our our allotment for 2020 for the gas tax. Page 28. Back to the spring hockey. So to the best of my knowledge, it's all done and all the invoices have been turned in. A journal entry was already also done because in the registration, there was $25 per registered player that was to go towards the ice rink rental as the public skating fee. Because I know they had trouble collecting it last year. So this year they just factored it into the registration. And so that journal entry has been done to reflect it. So after that, it leaves a profit of $1,025 for 2020 for the spring hockey. So, and I'm not aware that they're doing any more ice time, but I haven't been told otherwise. And the last one on page 35. Just a note that the planning fees and charges have really increased from last year, and it's due to an increase of applications into the office, mostly minor variances for the year. And sorry, just to circle back to the taxes, we found because we have our small balance write-off policy that we write off any interest that might kind of just accumulate under $10. And we write it off. But I found this year, probably 20% of the reminders that went out, people just didn't pay the proper amount on the installment, because the second installment is an even dollar and the first installment has cents on it, and people weren't putting that cents. So unfortunately, people did get reminders for under $10, but it's still principal. It wasn't interest. So we kind of took it as a learning curve. So we have got a few calls, but other than that, people are just paying it, just in case anybody gets questioned.
Okay, thank you, Tally. And my apologies for, I wasn't sure if you're in today. I hadn't seen you previous to the meeting. So I apologize for that. And thank you for your report. I trust, Spence, that this answers your question with regards to gas tax.
Yes, it does. Thanks very much, Tally, for clearing that one up. I spoke to Susan yesterday about any other questions we had on the budget. And the only thing she had none, and the only one that I have, is that we currently budget department by category. And one of the things we see in each of the departments is a transfer to or a transfer from the reserves. And one of the things that might be useful, I didn't see it on the way in which we present the numbers, but is to have a category by transfer where you can tally by, I guess, monthly or year to date. What are the total reserves? What have we allocated to, or what have we allocated from the reserves? And that basically provides an overview of how often or how appropriate allocations are, or the need for them. So I just thought I'd pass that on if that's something that could be done within the new accounting program.
I could have a look at that and see if there's a different report that might generate that for us.
Yeah, it would be a summary. It would be a summary for all departments, as where you have one view instead of having to go to each department and then determine what's come in or what's come out. Thank you.
Okay, that's a good point, Spence.
To make it.
Oh, pardon me.
Sorry, my internet isn't very good here. So there is a customizable report that we can do. So if we know the data we want to produce in a report, I can reach out to the software and they can help me build a report on exactly what we want to see. And that's something we can recreate every time it's requested or on a monthly basis, sort of thing.
Okay, thank you. And Council, as you're aware, with our new program, that Tally's been very diligent in bringing new ideas and listening to the wants and wishes of Council on how the format is laid out and presented. is there any council concerns or questions on any of the departments? If not,
Sorry, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Cleroux had his hand up.
sorry, he's not on my screen. Councillor Cleroux, my apologies.
No problem. The only question I had was around building permits. Wasn't really a conscious statement. I'm surprised how low it is from all the building permits that we've had. I'm not sure if it takes a time period to get all in or not. I'm just surprised by how low it is compared to last year. But it could be that it might take time to get the actual permit in.
Well, as for it reflecting in the statement, it should be instant because as soon as it's entered into cash receipting, it's reflective in the GL. So I'm not sure if maybe the numbers are down. We can check with Dennis, but.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Are there any other concerns or questions? Not hearing any. Again, during COVID, it's been a trying time, and I know we're still staying the course, and reports coming in, and I'd like to thank everyone for their input and again watching this new program unfold. Thank you, Tally, for your report. Again, we keep leaning on you for more information, and thank you for your reports and keeping us up to date on that. On page 38, we have the COVID-19 impacts for. If you wanted to give a report on that, Tally, as well.
Okay. So on July 27th, as part of the federal provincial safe restart agreement, we were allotted $90,400 to support with the operating costs due to COVID. So staff has started compiling the expenses, and we're going to transfer, because at the time we weren't sure if there was any funding that would be available. So now we're tasked with going through receipts that were COVID related and making the journal entries to put them into the COVID expense account so we can properly report them. And I've made a list there of some of the items that we are looking at. So like the laptops and all the stuff that we needed to be able to work efficiently from home. Any ads that were for events that were canceled or that we had to get word out, anything COVID related. Some foggers for all the vehicles and I think the fire department were training on those to go around and do the necessary extra cleaning and of the vehicles. Yeah, so that kind of puts it there. So I believe we'll have to do that report by March of 2021.
Okay, well, thank you, Natalie. Any questions on the report that Natalie has given? Mayor Bennett.
Thank you. Natalie, how soon will we see some figures attached to this to know where we are?
That's a task that we're tackling next week, to pull all the invoices and get copies of them so we can compile. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we should have a better understanding and know kind of what we have left.
Okay, I want to take a look fairly quickly to see where we are as far as money that's available for recreation, so that we're not going behind with rec. I would hate to say that we're going to start back 4 or 5 years and start building again. I'd rather, with this money available, if there's any that can go towards what the loss was in recreation, I would like council to consider propping that up so that we are not spinning the wheels backwards. So I mean, that's basically where we are.
Okay, I'll have to check because it was my understanding that it was operational expenses, but I can double check and get back to you.
Okay, well, if I can, Chair, I just say operational expenses is part of the rec, regardless how it's funded. If the fundraising isn't coming in, the operational expenses for that facility are still coming out of the recreation budget. So I don't see the difference there. And Hope's going to shoot me down now.
So this funding is, yeah, like Tally mentioned, it's specifically for any operating expenses that we've incurred direct to COVID. It doesn't cover any lost revenue. It doesn't cover any lost, the interest that we decided not to incur on people's property taxes. It doesn't cover those amounts. Those are council decisions. It can cover, cleaning, we had to keep the air conditioning on, the heating on. Perhaps we can take a look at those expenses at the community center. We didn't shut everything down, so we can take a look at stuff like that, but it won't go into a pot of monies that we were expecting to be fundraised for or anything like that. It's direct operating expenses that we had to incur due to COVID-19.
Okay.
Sorry, Mayor Bennett.
So basically, we as a council, we got to put pressure on our MPP to support us in a little bit different direction, if that's the case, because we definitely need help in order to get fired back up again, and it can't come from the tax base. It's got to come out of the funds that should be available to us from the provincial government.
That's correct. And this is phase 1 of funding. So once we get that tally, and that's why I'm kind of on staff, we need to get those figures in sooner than later. There is a phase 2 of funding that is coming out that we have to specifically apply for, and that's due in November. Hence the quick turnaround time to get those figures for phase 1, because if we're nearing almost the threshold of spending that money, then perhaps we may want to look at tapping into phase 2 for those purposes. I don't know if there's any specific regulations out just yet, because I haven't looked into it, because I didn't think we would meet that $90,000 threshold, but until we get those numbers totaled, we won't know. So that's a next week for sure job.
Okay, just a quick supplementary to that. Councillor Crew does have his hand up. Because we're back to Zoom meetings, it's very difficult now to operate off one computer with the Zooms, and we can split the screen sometimes, but that's really difficult to manage. But once we get this funding, maybe each councillor could actually get the second computer or a laptop or whatever to go along, so that we are actually equipped to do what we're doing.
Absolutely, if that's what council wishes, because I know specifically staff has tapped into that, because we need laptops for Zoom. We have paper copies, and we have that pleasure of having a paper copy of the council package here in front of us. I know not everybody has that opportunity to print off a package. So if that is what each member of council wishes to do, please let me know, and we will do what we can to get you a second machine, whether it's a refurbished. We have refurbished laptops too from Valley Bytes, so they do have those that are a little bit less of a cost, or brand new. So please let me know if you wish to get one. Okay,
thank you, Chair, for allowing me the time.
Thank you, Mayor Bennett, and Hope. Councillor Clearwood.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that the phase 2 that will be coming out, or but I believe my knowledge that it's that there's a large threshold that you have to meet. It's more, and I believe it's more for municipalities to have transit for big loss revenues. But that's one thing that staff can look into to see if we do meet the threshold for that.
Okay, and there is a little writing in our correspondence package tonight as well. I'm sure that'll be brought up. At least that's probably one of the items I'll be bringing up. I'd like to thank everyone. It is doing a Zoom meeting, you know, to ensure that the flow is consistent to what we're used to in our normal meetings. So I do apologize if I miss you. We only have so many people showing on the screen here. I know recreation is one of the, you know, the budget items you look at. The volunteers are out there. I know they want to be here. I know the residents of Horton are missing, like, our, you know, our dinners and our suppers and our you know, the laughter and the effort that the community puts into recreation. And I know Councillor Humphreys chairs that committee and would love to be giving more positive reports, but the only good thing we can bring out of it is that everyone is staying safe and at this time, and we hope that this COVID pandemic moves along and runs its course. So and we can get back on track, because I know as soon as fall hits, the first thing I start thinking is the harvest dinners and the hot meals and the home cooking, because I know each and everyone misses that. So
I think, Deputy Mayor, that everybody that I've talked to they're still very nervous about the COVID, and we've thrown out some ideas and stuff. But again, when the basic comes down to it, it's up to the safety of the Horton staff that does all the volunteering, and none of us are spring chickens, me included. And it's always the back of your mind to be precautious, and maybe to the point that we're too precautious. I'd rather be on the safe side all the time, Deputy Mayor, than that. And I know recreation's close to a lot of people's hearts, but again, we're getting some ideas. I've sent out some emails to my public advisor, but again, not much response, because everybody, and I know like Ralph Miller has been ill, and like Barb Dixon and I are at the same age, so I know it's a little bit of a concern about that. But we have talked about some different ideas about maybe a drive-through supper, you know. But I mean, to get the staff involved through the health unit and get things on the go, there has to be somebody that really is involved. Like, there's lots of people who pitch in after, but to go through the health unit. And it's nice to see at least the community center has been used for the paramedics and doing the COVID testing. So it's at least been used. I know there's been money spent on the repointing and stuff. So we're trying to keep the building in shape. And say, with the hope, as said, we have expenses with the air conditioning and the cleaning it, to have our other meetings down there. Again, it's very, very hard on Zoom to do hands-on work. So, and again, that's all I have. Thank you.
well, thank you. And Councillor Humphreys, one thing I can say about Horton, when the word safety comes up, the brakes go on, and you know, all the flags go up. So Horton does it right. We're I think we've suffered through a lot of floods, and you know, and the pandemic is just one more thing on our list that you know, we're going to come out on the positive side of it, as long as we maintain our distance and be safe. So unless there's any other questions or concerns with my report, I will hand it back over to you, Mayor Bennett.
Thank you, Deputy. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Campbell. Transportation and Environmental Service Committee, Councillor Webster.
Thank you, Mayor. Report on page 40. Starting at Thompson Hill, the RFP review, Councillor Cleroux requested that the previous study that was done be included with the RFP. So it's we want everybody to have as much information as possible when this RFP goes out. Second thing is request to waive tipping fees. We had stated that the request was made forward that this house was flooded and that it was previously purchased, and because we cannot recoup the money, it would become down to the taxpayers paying for this demolition, the grinding up of this material. So it was declined for waiving of the tipping fees here. The next one, 2020 RPRA final funding amount. So Adam reviewed that report. Then we went on to project wish list, and there's a couple suggestions made, including crack sealing and graveling midsections of the Edie Road. Councilor Cleroux requested that Mr. Knapp bring a summary of projects for funding for 2021, which I know he's worked on. We've had conversations on that. And then just new other business. There was a donation made to the township, and thought what to do with it. I cannot remember the amount, but it was a small amount, and there was talk towards putting it towards Martin Cemetery. I just stated that the funds should be split towards all cemeteries, and or come up with a different plan. So it was in discussion for a bit, and then Adam's going to go back and get some cost on Weed Man for all the cemeteries, and anything else that we can spread it over the whole township, so everybody is fairly distributed, was what we look for. And the last thing was the committee members that agreed that a letter from Horton Council should be sent to McNabb Braeside Council regarding Story Road instead of going through staff. Public Works Manager Adam Knapp is to draft the letter and bring back to council for approval. And that is it for my report. Any questions? Councillor Humphreys.
Yes, just the weed man is spraying for unwanted animals. What animals are they spraying for?
I believe there's a lot of skunks going through there.
Okay.
Digging up because of the grubs and everything. So if we can get rid of the grubs, obviously the skunks will come back.
I
That was
figured
one
that-
of the concerns. Yeah.
I figured that's what it was. I just wanted to
Yeah.
verify it, whether they were spraying for other things or not.
Yeah.
I may have been
And
spraying
maybe
for
Nikki
weeds.
can remind me if there was other animals that were discussed.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was the skunks. They were kind of ripping up all the lawn for the grubs. So I think Adam was trying to see if Weed Man would kind of control that. And then, like Tom said, see if it could be distributed through the other cemeteries as well.
Deputy Mayor Campbell.
I just, on your report, the project wish list, again, pleased to see that. I know I brought it up, kind of a challenge out to all committee chairs. Again, a little different than what I was thinking at the time, but you know, that we're thinking ahead what we'd like to see coming up. And I'd like to see this in your report. So thank you for having that in there.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions, remarks? Councillor Cleroux?
Yeah, I just wanted just to add, it's a little disappointing. Sorry, for the blue box funding, the 2020 RIPRA funding agreement. It's a little disappointing that Amara is down from last year, and same along with some other municipalities. They're the formula based. It's formula based how it's funded. Part of it by actual costs, other than by best practices, and the other one is the whole marketed tons for the whole province. We've seen this area, same with other, with our neighboring municipalities, that we've seen a large increase in costs, and it's not being reflected in our funding back. It is a shame, but maybe hopefully by next year, it does take a year or two to get on track. So hopefully next year we see the actual revenue stream, and I believe we are getting next 3 to 5 years we're moving to a producer responsibility, which will be good for the taxpayers for Horton.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Cleroux. Any other comments, questions? Thank you very much. Back to you, Mayor Bennett.
Thank you, Councillor Webster. Correspondence summary, information correspondence. Councillor Caruda, you want to take it away this week?
Yep. It was good. I'm interested in read the role of surveyors in municipal work. That was definitely a good read. And thanks staff for that. And I don't want to get too much. Just we should report in the County of Renfrew in their safe to restart program. A letter that went to the province. We should be supporting them. That's it. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Humphreys.
Yes, there's just two things. One was the etiquette that we just have to use for Zoom, and the article on page 2 is pretty interesting. Just how to do proper Zoom meetings and to be sort of dressed up and act like a real business person. And the other one was RVH gets $410,000 for COVID-related received for COVID-related expenses and projects. So that's a real nice catch for the hospital too. So 410 is nothing to sneeze about. So that's good. Thank you. Back to you,
Thank
Mayor.
you, Councillor Humphreys. Deputy Mayor Campbell.
I guess two of the subjects Councillor Leroux has touched on, the Safe Restart program. And again, I said I'd bring it up the bottom of page 16, where it says, we have spoken with the Minister, John Yakubuski, about our needs. He has acknowledged that he is in support of our request for some flexibility in the use of the 2.78 million. Well, we are in receipt of your letter dated October 1st, 2020, announcing phase 2 as Hope has spoke to the restart funding. We're hoping that the additional flexibility and the guidelines allowing municipalities to utilize phase 1 funding for capital expenditures related to COVID-19 will address our needs. So, again, I was going to ask you if there's a report from the county, but obviously you've got a handle on it too, and they're tracking and following it along with staff members. So just those, I just want to bring that up as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Webster.
And it was repeated previously, but the Safe Restart program was what I was going to discuss, but the comments were already made. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So Councillor, Webster beat me to it again. So one of the things that I would like us as a council to look at is the community priorities at the county level on the survey. And we should discuss that at some point very shortly of what we think the priorities are that council could help us address at county level. So if you get a chance, just jog down a few of the items that you see there that could be priorities for the Township of Horton that can be addressed at the county. The other thing is welcoming of the new FCM. But hopefully at some point we get to zoom into a meeting with them to get to know them a little bit. Unfortunately, we don't have a representative from Renfrew County this time around, so we need to build our contacts so we can actually have somebody to talk to when we do need to use them. They're a good organization, and they do speak to rural Ontario as well, or rural Canada as much as anybody does of the needs and the wishes of them communities. So we definitely need to keep a contact going there. Last thing I have is the Roma conference. It is virtual for 2021. So if anybody's thinking of sitting in on that, the registration is now open or open shortly, I believe. That's all I have on that. And we have action correspondence, the County of Renfrew ATV bylaw review. Page 43. This is going to require some enforcement. We know that as we move forward, but the provincial government has allowed them to be on the roads, and we're going to have to supply the enforcement to allow it to happen. So that's where we are. I can see it as a great thing for the county. It's just saying that as long as people respect the rules of the road, then it's not an issue. It's when it's them one or two that happen to go out and don't respect the rules of the road that become an issue. Comments? Deputy Mayor Campbell.
I'm happy to see this come to council because of COVID. A lot of people obviously aren't traveling this year, and most, if not every, recreational sales group in our area is showing record sales this year. At least there's a positive note coming out of that. So with marine and recreational vehicles being sold this year have reached, almost without the new models coming out in 2021 are off the shelf. So all those vehicles are out there somewhere, and if on the road is going to be a challenge or issues, I don't think you'll see that changing. And with snowmobile season coming up, again, I think you'll see sales in the with those vehicles being very high as well. So this is the next enjoyment. This is what people are putting their money into instead of travel. And restrictions for whether they be lean or heavy, it needs to be addressed. And because I think you're going to see this very very high rates over the next couple of years.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? None? Hope maybe it's a bylaw that we're going to have to pass and for them to be on our municipal road. So I presume Tess will be looking at that and bringing it back to council then.
Yes, I've got Adam taking a look into the new legislation that's coming down with the dirt bikes, and in accordance with our specific bylaws, so it'll come down to Tess for review. And this county bylaw is just for council to provide any comments if they wish at this point.
Okay. Any other comments on that? Thank you. Bylaws. 2020-43 McRimmon Shola Amendment Site Plan Agreement, page 47. Could I have a mover and a seconder to get it on the floor, please? Councillor Humphreys. Who else had their hand up? Sorry, Councillor Webster. Discussion. None? Councillor Humphreys.
Why is the bylaw in effect? Like what's going on? Like, is it the clearance or just an extra building? I thought it was just like a building permit. So what I don't see in the sketch? It's an extra building, but he's 100 feet from the property line, except for one side. So why would you need a bylaw for that? Was there something back originally?
I'll leave Hope answer that one.
So we have a site plan control bylaw, which depicts which properties, commercial properties, et cetera, that require site plans. Any commercial property requires a site plan agreement. They are proposing to add an additional storage unit on their property, which they have to amend then their existing site plan. So we need to amend it with the agreement, and then that needs to get passed by a new bylaw. So that's why that's being brought forward.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Councillor, oh, sorry, Councillor Carew.
Yeah, just a question, staff. Does the bylaw state that it has to be a requirement for engineering to be stamped or anything like that, like for stormwater management or for any engineering standards?
Our bylaw is very general. It doesn't specifically state that for an amendment. If it was a new site plan that was coming with a new development, for sure we'd be taking a look at any kind of development agreement, site plan agreement, anything like that that may require any kind of studies performed by engineers and a stamp that would be required of an engineer as well.
Okay, thank you. And one follow-up question, you touched on it. Is there a existing site plan agreement with McDermott Holdings on this site?
Yes, there is.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? None? In favor, Councillor Humphries,
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Campbell,
In favor.
Councillor Webster,
In favor.
Councillor Carew,
In favor.
and I'm in favor. It's carried. And that's the only bylaw we have today by the looks of it. Notice to file the motion for the next council meeting. We'll have none of them. At some point, we will get rid of that. Council and staff members' concerns. None? Okay, so I have two. For the first one is Natalie is gone. Did the flood relief money come in from the province yet?
It has not been received yet. And actually I spoke with our ministry rep last week. She had called me on a separate issue, and I had followed up with her again when we'll be receiving it. And she does not know that. We've already entered into the transfer payment agreement. So now it is just a waiting game for us to actually receive the money. And no, we haven't yet. And they don't have any answers for us.
Okay, so would council mind if we set something up with the MPP and have John sit in on a Zoom meeting to see how we can move this forward? It's been a considerable amount of time, and as a small municipality, we shouldn't be expected to carry the load of the province at this level. So, but it will take all of council to try and push the right buttons to get it moving ahead. Are we okay with that? Okay. Hope we are okay with that.
I'm completely fine with that. Let me follow up with our ministry rep just one more time to let her know that this is what council's plan is. And then depending on what her answer is, then maybe we can perhaps move forward with inviting Mr. Yakubuski, MPP Yakubuski, my apologies, to a special council meeting for information purposes.
Thank you. Councillor Webster had his hand up.
Yes, just a question. Do we know if neighboring municipalities have received theirs?
About a month ago, that hadn't happened, but I don't know about now.
I did reach out specifically to Whitewater Region's Treasurer Sean Crozier last week to ask if they had received theirs yet, and they have not also. So I haven't put the feelers out to any other municipalities, but I would imagine that they would all, the monies would be doled out at the same time to all municipalities.
Okay, thank you. My second concern is speed sign. I tried to convince Hope that this is partly caused by the COVID. She disagrees with me. So I need to ask council to consider at least taking a little bit of modernization money to get one sign so we can at least show the public that way that we're trying to slow them down. And it's a start. One's not going to do it, I realize that, but if we do move it around from to the different roads, at least we're attempting as a council to eliminate part of the problem. It is we do know as of today's meeting that it's going the wrong avenue to begin with, and I will guarantee you that what comes to me will be switched very shortly, because Hope's going to get me the number that they need to be calling tomorrow. But I still think we need to do something as a municipality to try and start eliminating the problem on our roads. Some of it is county road related, but I'd hate to be sitting here with a major accident on our hands saying we should have done something. So I'd like to council consider taking a little bit out of modernization to get this started. Deputy Mayor Campbell.
I have to agree with you, Mayor Bennett. I know from myself sitting on the CPAC committee several years ago, when our sign was ailing there, and we're trying to get it fixed. But I know the demand from all those neighboring townships that are in the same program with us. Look forward to having that major events, long weekends, and you are correct. It did make a difference. You know, the OPP auxiliary police helped in putting that out for us. But I know our reports showed a positive response that when that was out. I know the prices, we had priced it several years ago. And I know the prices have come down, and you see them popping up in lots of municipalities, and you know, McNabb Rayside, you see it down along the river. They have several going in there and prior. So I'd like to see Adam put a price together, you know, through modernization funding. Absolutely, I think it's a must. So.
Thank you, Councillor Carew.
Yeah, I actually brought the item up with a speed sign and also a radar counter, same as Don Ferguson mentioned earlier, that most municipalities are buying now. If we can purchase it in a 2020 budget, I think it's feels needed for speed enforcement and also our asset management program. I'm not sure if it will qualify, and hope we can provide like to this. If it would qualify for use of moderation funding or not. And we are coming to the end of 2020. And I think something do we put in our 2021 budget for that? And then it might be an opportunity to speed up our process for our budget process, so we can start these projects early in the year.
Hope.
So what I will do just from this conversation is I'll get Public Works Manager Adam Knapp to compile some prices, and then bring a report to the next test meeting, which is at the beginning of November. Then we can kind of move on that depending on how the committee feels. I do feel that it would be considered prudent to take out of the modernization money. It's there. It shows that we're doing our due diligence in providing that, I guess, education and notification to our residents and people traveling through our municipality, as well as hoping that it may reduce calls coming to the staff and council. That, I guess, in turn would make us do our jobs here more efficiently if we're not fielding all of those complaints and calls coming in regarding speeding.
Thank you. Councillor Humphries, you had your hand up.
I just had the one question. If once we get the prices, maybe we should try and work it in on 20, and I have it ordered for the spring of 2021, sort of force the budget, just like Councillor Carew said, that we can, if we have the money there, just to utilize it for for the spring, because we're going into winter now and the roads will not pretty well allow speeders for at least till March, April, till the roads get bared off and the high-speed racetracks start again. But if we can get it on the agenda for, if Adam can get prices for that early for the next meeting or the meeting after, go through tests, and then our meeting in December, and maybe we can order one. That's, you know, be forward thinking. If we get one ordered, maybe we can have it by April 1st. So I think we can find some money out of that modernization grant. We can do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Webster.
Sorry. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Also, just one question in regards to, has the Lake Group discussed any of these options, like purchasing power? And is this something that if we buy in volume, that it gets a cheaper price? Has any of that come up yet?
Go ahead, Hope.
Specifically, yeah, specifically relating to what we're discussing, no. It's certainly something that staff can reach out to other staff to discuss, to see if there's benefits in group purchasing. It's not going to be something that's going to come out of the Lake Group draft report or the report from our consultants. That would be a discussion that we would have amongst just on a staff level, but that can certainly be achieved for sure.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. And Lane, I really, Councillor Carew, I really do like your idea of both. The speed sign to at least try and leave the public known. The Black Cat technology is great, but it's only an information technology that's not leaving the people that are on the roads know what they're doing. And both would be a great idea. I don't see anything wrong with that. And it's on the floor now and we can move forward, and Tom and Councillor Webster and his committee can move it forward from this point. So thank you. That's all I had as council members' concerns. Staff concerns? No?
Well, I will speak.
Lots when I get in here.
I will speak to one very quickly. There are growing concerns among staff at the staff level in regards to the service delivery review that is happening for the Lake Group. I know I've kept you in the loop as much as I can moving through this process. I've kept certainly Mayor Bennett in the loop. We are getting a draft report presented to us on October the 29th. They tried again to extend that date and push it until November. The CAOs had a Zoom meeting last week, which we discussed all of this information. We said, no, we have budgets to consider. We have to present this information to our own councils coming up. So they will be providing staff with the draft final report next week, which we have a few days. Oh, my apologies. They're supposed to actually give it to us this week. Then we have a few days to review it. Staff are meeting again next week to discuss any concerns that we may have that we need to bring forward before they present the final draft, or the draft final report rather. Once the draft is presented, and I believe it's the CAOs and the mayors of all the municipalities, then the final report will be released. At this point, I don't have much. I don't think the report's going to bring much merit to Horton Township nor any other municipalities that staff couldn't have achieved in discussions with themselves, but we'll wait to see what the final product is before making any other comments. And again, if anybody has any questions outside of this council meeting, I'll be happy to discuss them with you.
Okay, thank you, Hope. Resolutions. And I'll
Okay.
have to ask, as Hope reads them, and I'll have to ask everybody so that they know who's voting and who's not voting. Okay.
So at this point, I'll go ahead and unmute everybody so that I don't have to scurry. And if Councillor Carew and Webster can unmute yourselves, then it makes a more efficient process to go through the resolutions. So we'll start off. That council accept the financial departmental report and statement as information.
Do I have a mover?
I'll move.
Who was first there?
I believe Deputy Mayor Campbell was first.
Okay, right on. Seconder? Counselor Webster? Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, I gotta ask. I already said that once and forgot what I was doing 30 seconds after. Counselor Humphries,
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Campbell,
In favor?
Counselor Carew,
In favor.
Counselor Webster,
In favor.
and I'm in favor. That's carried.
That the General Government Committee and Council receive the COVID-19 impact report as information.
Do I have a mover? Counselor Webster. Second by Counselor Humphries. Any discussion? Counselor Humphries,
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Campbell,
In favor?
Counselor Carew,
In favor.
Counselor Webster,
In favor.
and I'm in favor. It's carried.
That Council accept the Transportation and Environmental Service Chairs report as information.
Mover, Counselor Carew. Seconder, Counselor Webster. Any discussion? Counselor Humphries,
In favor?
Counselor Carew,
In favor.
Counselor Webster,
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Campbell,
In favor?
and I'm in favor. It's carried.
That Council accept the CAO Clerk's information memo for October 20th, 2020.
Mover, Counselor Humphries, Deputy Mayor Campbell. Discussion? None. Counselor Carew,
In favor.
Counselor Webster,
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Campbell,
Favor?
Counselor Humphries,
In favor?
and I'm in favor. It's carried.
Okay, the next resolution will be a resolution to go into closed session. So upon passage of this resolution, if it is, I will be pausing the recording and stopping the live stream to YouTube just to let council and the public know. That council went into closed session meeting at 5:22 p.m. to discuss the following items pursuant to section 239(2)(e of the Municipal Act: litigation or potential litigation, property issue between Burton Lane and Spriggs Lane.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Campbell has moved it. Seconder. Counselor Webster. So we are, Counselor Humphries in favor.
In favor?
Counselor Carew,
In favor.
Counselor Webster,
In favor.
Counselor Deputy Mayor Campbell,
In favor?